tonight. On behalf of all of us, we are deeply appreciative and offer you our most grateful welcome.
Thank you for having Bosnia in your hearts. I would like to formally open this event tonight with the following words. Thank you to our friends from Aquinas College, Davenport University, Grand Valley State University, go Lakers, Ferry State University, go Bulldogs, Hope College, Forest Hills Northern High School, Jericho Foundation, Kaufman Interfaith Institute, and many other local entrepreneurs and others who have shown their appreciation and support for Bosnia. And invite you tonight to take a deep look inside of your own soul and find the strength to be more compassionate, more understanding, and more tolerant in the future. For that is exactly what the spirit of any religious teaching should be and would like us to do. Be our neighbor's best friend. At this point, we would like to take a moment just to tell you a little bit about our tonight's sponsor, the Bosnian Cultural Center.
Bosnian Cultural Center was established in March 1997. At that time, membership counted only 50 families. Today, we are proud to say that BCC counts 380 families. BCC has outstanding leaders, and their work are based on volunteering. We are honored to introduce you to our president of BCC, Grand Rapids, Michigan, Mr. Samir Agic. Mr. Agic, please join us.
My mother told me once, my son, if you're nervous, start to sing. But I'm not going to do that because I know if I start to sing, most of you will leave the building. Dear friends, I wish you a warm welcome. We hope this to be the first in series of activities that Bosnian Cultural Center will organize for the general public. We are open for dialogue, open for communication. The more we communicate and the more we learn about each other, the sooner we will get to know each other and respect each other. Please enjoy tonight's program on behalf of Bosnian Cultural Center. Welcome and thank you for coming.
The story of Bosnian community in Kentwood resembles any other story of many other refugee communities. Bosnians started arriving in early 1990s. After they lost loved ones and their homes, they settled across the United States, thankful that they could once again live in peace and pursue happiness. In the words of Emma Lazarus, they were yearning to be free. Like any other community, Bosnians also had to go through phases of adjustment. There were many issues that the community members had to grapple with, in addition to past traumatic stress disorder and war trauma. Out of all of this grew a strong community, thriving community whose members are proud of their old tradition and their current success. Nowadays, we have PhDs, MBAs, doctors, attorneys, writers, teachers, successful entrepreneurs. All of them are pillars of our Kentwood community. Tonight, we have a chance to get a glimpse on this community and its history as well as the heritage, in hopes to be able to understand it better and promote its values in our community as a whole.
The whole event tonight is centered around a movie that's called Pretty Villages, and we will screen that movie, and following that there will be a panel discussion with our distinguished panel members. There will be Mr. Kahrimanovic, who is a film producer of the movie that we're going to see tonight, and human rights advocate. Mr. Mayor Kepley, mayor of our wonderful city of Kentwood. Dr. Roger Durham, professor of political science at Aquinas. Dr. Muaz Zerjic, who is the current Imam of the Bosnian Cultural Center, and Mr. Samuel Fazlovic, who is a local entrepreneur and respected member of the Bosnian community in Kentwood. So, just tell a little bit about the movie. It is about, on a personal note, about my own city. I happen to be named Kemal, just like the author. I happen to be from the same city, so I guess for me, I will try not to show my emotions, but I know there will be some. At this time, I would like to tell you a little bit about Mr. Kahrimanovic, the author of this movie. Like I said, he was born in Prijedor, Bosnia and Herzegovina, in one of the regions that was most severely affected by the Bosnian War. He is the survivor of a notoriously brutal Omorska concentration camp, and he witnessed firsthand horrific acts of genocide, some of which were perpetrated by individuals whom he knew personally. He has since dedicated his work to education, reconciliation, and peace building. He founded the organization Most Mira, Bridge of Peace, in 2005 in Prijedor, his hometown, to promote the message of peace and reconciliation by encouraging people of all age groups, but especially school-age children, to learn how to develop a better understanding and tolerance towards the other, quote-unquote. He has been involved in human rights for nearly 2 decades, participating as a keynote speaker for a number of conferences addressing issues such as reconciliation, genocide, peace building, memorialization, and forgiveness. He regularly gives talks at schools, universities, prisons, and community centers, and has been invited to speak on TV and radio programs, among others, BBC, ITN, Channel 4, CNN, ABC, and others. He is also an author of the book called The Killing Days, My Journey to the Bosnian War. Pretty Village is his first film. Kemal holds a Bachelor of Science in Management Studies from Royal Holloway University of London, Master's degree in Conflict Resolution from Radford University. He was also a 2012 Human Rights Advocate from Columbia University.
20 years after the end of the Bosnian War concentration camp survivor Kemal Kahrimanovic returns to his village to find a community still at war with itself. This film is much more than a story about one Bosnian village. It's a universal story of what happens to communities and friendships torn apart by conflict and how difficult it is to rebuild people's life.
And each bus had an escort. We came here like sheep and they just loaded us into these buses and took us. Eventually, Croats in Croatia and Slovenians in Slovenia decided to declare independence. My father and my brothers worked in Croatia, but 5,000 of my Serb neighbors were. I realized very quickly that every name was associated with Croatia, that they worked in Croatia. Never feel comfortable coming here.
What a powerful story. What an emotional story. I can only imagine what kind of personal courage it took to film this, so. Thank you. I do apologize. Let's take a moment just to absorb this, deal with it, and see what we can learn from this. What we will do is we'll take one round of questions that have been prepared by me. I will ask those. I will give each panelist 10 to 15 minutes to respond, and we will go in order of the Bosnian fluency. So we'll start on the left and go. So at this point, I would like to start with Mr. Petrovic, and again, thank you very much for this. This was an extraordinary experience, especially because it is my hometown as well. I want to ask you, what made you decide to make this movie, and specifically what made you decide to make this movie, to make a movie, not write a book or do something else? What was it?
There's a word which I don't use very often. I hardly ever use that word, and it's proud. And I must say I'm very proud to be here tonight, because tonight I've seen that I've known we are very intelligent, hard-working and resilient people, and unfortunately Ahmed is not sitting there. I think he went out for a cigarette or something, but I'm actually very proud of the way it went. Why did I decide to make this film? Well, when I was in England, I felt for many years I was not able to go back. So I used to think all the time about my mother's vegetable patch, because she'd grow a lot of vegetables, and sometimes I would help her. I wasn't very good with that, but so while in England I felt I was not, I wouldn't be able to die until I actually went back to work on my mother's vegetable patch again. So in 2002 I had my first opportunity to go back, and I brought a cameraman with me, so you saw some of the archived footage from that trip. And I just wanted to record my first return to the village. And then there was a long break for 9 years, because some people saw some of the footage and they felt it wasn't strong enough. So originally I just wanted to record my first return back to the village. And over a period of time this idea evolved. So eventually I actually wanted to make a film which would show how we used to live, which would actually show what happened during the war, and which would also show that the discrimination, which actually led to the formation of concentration camps, is still very much present on the ground. And there are many different reasons, actually, why I wanted to make it. And one of the main reasons is that there's almost a blanket denial in our community in Prijedor. Prijedor is the world capital when it comes to the number of convicted war criminals, nearly 40. 24 right now are either standing a trial or awaiting a trial. And for the last 10 years, a new breed and an old breed of Serb nationalists have been really hard to revise our recent history. And so genocide denial is rife not only in Prijedor, in all Bosnia. So that was a great motivation for me to work on this film.
Mayor Kentwood, the question for you is, being in charge of our municipal government here in Kentwood, where do you see our community in 5 to 10 years, and what role do you think that our proud Bosnian American community might take on in this process?
Well, first of all, it's a lot of one-on-ones. It's networking. It's meeting your friends who you feel like is a natural leader. They have a passion for something to do or change. It is to celebrate the past while forging the future. The city of Kentwood turns 50 in 2017. And we have a committee, and actually one or two of you are on that committee, to see how can we celebrate the past, but more importantly, how do we forge the future? How do we celebrate our diversity? I would love to have a festival to celebrate diversity so that we can get together and celebrate culture, food, dance, beliefs, sharing, so that we can really make our community that much richer. I really want to see the city government look like our community. I want those that are leading our community, whether it be our city commission, our planning commission, or zoning board, whatever commission or board there is, to actually resemble our community. As you know, Kentwood is a very diverse community. The East Kentwood High School represents 60 different countries and 70 different languages. That's a lot of diversity. And so when I was walking around, not the same night I was walking around with Mom, but I was walking around and I was meeting all of you and all the rest of the 60 different people from all sorts of, of the world. And I was having a conversation with God. I'm a man of faith, and I do have conversations with God. And I said, how can a community be unified with such diversity? And the answer was very simple. It's part of the greatest commandment, loving your neighbor as yourself. First of all, I am truly honored and humbled to be here in front of you and with you. Thank you so much for having the courage to tell the story. I really appreciate that. And also, I've spent 2 years getting to know many of you, and just to let you know that I truly love you. And
you love me back.
And no matter where I am, I will do all in my power to prevent this from happening again.
Professor Durham, you have very extensive and very unique knowledge of this panel. So for you, I would like to ask you the following. Ethnic tensions are flaring in some parts of the United States. Do you believe in the idea of the melting pot? And how do you envision life together should work with various ethnic and cultural groups in our community? And how do you see the United States compared to the rest of the international stage?
It's important that we recognize humanity and humanness, and we look each other in the eye and recognize what we have in common. But I think, and on your point, one of the most important ways we can ensure this melting pot works is to create and follow rule of law. This rule of law has to be based on humanitarian principles and respect for others' differences. I think probably the most important process in international relations that's happened is what we now call responsibility to protect, or R2P. It was adopted in 2005 by the General Assembly, and it has a kind of threefold process. And it's interesting, especially in reference to what happened where you lived. States, number one, states have the responsibility to protect their citizens. If they can't do that, then number two, the international community has a responsibility to respond to that. So this norm didn't exist in the early 1990s. But third, if that state fails, then and cannot protect its populations, the international community must be prepared to take stronger measures, including the collective use of force. And this is what we're talking about here relative to international law. So the key, and this is key not only in dealing with the melting pot, but the key is building sufficient evidence and a multicultural coalition to ensure that genocide and crimes against humanity don't happen anywhere, especially in Kentwood, but especially wherever you may come from. That takes rule of law, and that's what we need to get to. Thank you.
I would like to ask you the following. In light of the rise in Islamophobia in the West, how can Bosnian Muslims, Bosniaks, promote the positive image of Islam among their American friends, colleagues, and neighbors?
So, as a religious leader, or from a religious standpoint, or more specifically, from the Islamic standpoint, Islam teaches its adherents and humanity in general to learn and to learn from one another. Because God says in the Quran, O humankind, we have created you from a single pair of a male and a female, and have made you into tribes and nations that you may know one another, that you may get to know one another. Surely, in the sight of God, the best among you is the one who is most righteous, most aware of God. And God is surely all-knowing, all-aware. There is one person that we must work on, and that is ourselves. Making ourselves better members of the community, better parents, better believers. And I'm sure once we answer these calls, we will definitely respond to the message. And this event tonight is exactly one of the things that is an answer to your question for me. This is what we should do in order to not only stop something like this from happening, but to really get closer to one another, because that is the whole point of God's creation. Thank you.
The final panelist, Mr. Butledge, your bio was pretty short. In the spirit of the whole evening, taking Kamal's message to the next step, I would like for you to at least try and explain to us, how does someone who has suffered and lost so much turn this negative energy into something positive and not only move on, but also prosper and embrace the future for what it truly is, which is another opportunity, another step forward?
Mr. Perovic is from Kahrimanovic, pretty village of Kahrimanovic. But the entire Bosnia and Herzegovina can be considered Kahrimanovic, as each town, each city, each village has its own unique story about the brutal war. In this audience, we have many that have been to the concentration camps, many that have lost somebody in the war. We are all Kemals, and we are all from the pretty village of Kahrimanovic. But there's a saying, what doesn't kill you makes you only stronger. Hatred did not have any room in my heart. Rather, I continued living as my parents taught me, with love, understanding, and respect for others. Only with those four components, you can live with dignity and respect and be happy at the same time. After all, the world is becoming a small village, and we need to accept and embrace our differences. The sooner the better. While it's important to integrate and assimilate into your new culture, your new country, it is even more important to keep your old values. Know who you are, what you are. Take everything of your new culture, everything that's of that culture, mix it with your old culture and your old values. You'll become a rich, rich person. So rich that you will be able to understand your neighbors, people around you, and the world you live in. It's up to us if we want to use those opportunities and make something out of them. Be productive for us and our families and our community. To all my Bosnians here, educate your kids. That's the only way that our community will be successful and productive. Successful part of this greater community. Guarantee for prosperous future is investment in our kids. Educate, educate, educate. Thank you.